What do you do when your offer has multiple outcomes, like lots of things that your clients are going to be able to do as a result of the work that you will do together? How do you communicate yourself? How do you position yourself? How do you get in front of your audience and make them realize that you're going to be the person that can help them? That's exactly what I want to talk about today, because there's been a lot of people that have been asking me these questions. And I feel like it's really powerful for me to be able to go in deeper into sharing with you how this works. So the truth is that most of the people that I personally work with and that I see out there have a lot of outcomes. There's a lot of things that you do. Especially this will be true when you are a transformational coach, because there's like outcomes of the outcome of the outcome of the outcome, if that makes sense. Like you can help people with their health, but that's going to impact their relationship. It's going to impact their careers. It's going to impact their spirituality. There's like a lot of things that come as a result of the work that you're doing with people. So what do you do? Like, how do you focus on that? I feel like a lot of people feel like they're being forced to put themselves in a box almost, and feel like I don't want to only talk about this thing when there's all of me, like these other things that I do that are really powerful and that are important to me as well. And I don't want to be put like into a straitjacket and be forced to only talk about this one thing and not the rest. Like I don't really want to niche myself down. And, I think that it's really important to talk about this, because there are definitely ways for you to be able to bring the pieces together without feeling like, again, you're put in the straitjacket, and without feeling like you're niching yourself down and letting all of these other things go. So my main thing that I want to kind of talk about in here is that you don't have to have an offer that only has one outcome. Like you see this very often with weight loss, right? And like the main outcome being you're going to lose 10 pounds in 3 days, whatever, I don't know. um, and that's like your only outcome and the main thing. That being said, what is important is for you to have a lot of clarity around the big picture problem that your offer solves. And this is where a lot of people get a little bit lost and confused, right? Because it's very likely that with the thing that you're doing, with your offer, there's a big picture problem that you're actually solving. And then there's these little outcomes and sub outcomes and sub results that come from that work that you're doing, right? So the most important question that you want to ask yourself is, what is that big picture problem? And for that, you also have to understand, well, who is my audience and what are the things that these people are really looking for? I think that what's happened a lot is that we tend to underestimate our audience's capacity to understand. Like, again, this is bro marketing at its finest, right? Oh, no, you can only have one call to action. You can only have one offer. You can only have one thing, like one outcome, or else you're going to lose people. I think that that's true if you're speaking to an audience that is very problem unaware, solution unaware, like not and self-aware at all, and just kind of like lost in life, and they just stumble across your offer like, wait a minute, this thing is going to help me lose 10 pounds in 3 minutes. I'm in, right? So that's very true if that's the case. But when we're talking to a high ticket client, a premium buyer, somebody who is smart, who has invested a lot in their business or in their health or relationships or whatever you do in the past, who sees the value in investing, these are people that are not stupid. You can have multiple outcomes that come from the work that you do together. But again, what needs to be at the core is, what is that big picture problem that you're solving, right? So an example of this is what I do. My offer has a lot of different outcomes. Like if you were to enroll into my fullest program, we do a lot of things. I help you have clarity in your message. We build your website for you. We help you with marketing. We help you with copywriting. We walk you through our sales process. We help you build visibility. We help you clarify like your expertise, what makes you different. There's a lot of different outcomes and results of working with us, and like alignment and messaging and sales and all of these different things that you could very well say, well, this is my thing. I could focus my whole message around sales, or I could focus my whole message around alignment and feeling connected with your message, or I could focus my whole message around websites and I'm going to design the website for you, right? But in my case, what I personally see as the big picture problem that I am solving is my clients or my audience are people that are not attracting high quality leads. And every single one of those sub outcomes that I mentioned, websites and sales and marketing and alignment, all these things, actually solve that main outcome. That is what those little sub outcomes do, right? It solves the main problem, sorry. So it's really important for you to have a lot of clarity around, well, again, what is that main problem? And how do I bring my message around that main problem, but then my program can have these sub outcomes as well, as long as, and this is the key, as long as you can justify the reason for that thing being there. So what I mean is, in my case, and I'm just using myself as an example, I'll give you another example in a second, but in my case, if my problem that I'm solving is I'm helping people attract higher quality leads, and that is the main problem that my audience has, they don't have enough high quality leads. Well, if alignment and going into the mindset piece and the energy work is something that I can't justify as being part of my process, well, then it doesn't make sense for that to be there. But because for me, being in alignment with your message and feeling that you're showing up authentically and feeling really a lot of conviction and certainty in what you're saying is a fundamental part of you attracting a higher quality lead. Because when you feel aligned and you feel connected with that message and you feel like this is my message, like this is what I want to share, that's going to be the thing that gets people to feel like, ooh, like you're going to become the Sally, I usually say, right? People are going to feel like, ooh, I'll have what she's having. That's a Harry Met Sally reference for you guys here. So of course, being in alignment with your message and having that energy is very well justified within my process. But if I were to say, okay, I'm also going to help people with parenting advice because I'm great at that and I love giving parenting advice, I can't find a way to fit an outcome like that into my offer because it doesn't make any sense. However, I could, under my umbrella brand of Fabi Paolini, focusing on helping you attract higher ticket clients, have a separate program on that. Like now that you are able to attract higher ticket clients and you have more time to be present for your family because your clients are better and they are more resourceful and they don't need as much hand holding, well, now you can be a better parent and we can have a whole program on parenting. Well, then that would make sense, but it's a whole different marketing strategy and a whole different message around that. Hopefully that makes sense to you, right? So you have to be able to justify the different outcomes or the different offers within that main offer, the different, let me say it like pillars or modules or milestones or steps, so that it makes sense that it would build up to the big picture problem that you're solving and that big picture outcome that you're delivering, right? So what I would say is that for you to be able to sell a program or an offer that has multiple outcomes, your most important thing is finding the common thread. What is the thing that is going to connect the dots between all of the different things that I'm doing? What is my underlining message that will make these things that I'm saying really make more sense? And for me, that's why having that angle of mastery is fundamental. So I'm not going to get too much into this in this episode. I do have another video and episode on angle of mastery specifically, or you can go to angleofmastery.com and watch a training where I explain it in much more detail. But essentially, angle of mastery is your point of view, your premise, your hypothesis, your vision behind why your audience is experiencing the problem that they're experiencing. And if you can find a way to justify and use your angle of mastery as that like point of connection between the different outcomes and make it make sense for people, well, then it's going to be able to fit into your global message as long as there's a clear problem that you're solving. And again, you could be solving a lot of problems. I could say, coming back to my example, that the problem that I'm solving is I'm going to help you build a more beautiful brand and show you in a more premium way because we're going to build your website. And that could very well be the core of my brand. But my angle of mastery, my perspective, my point of view, and where I'm taking a stand on is saying, I'm going to help you clarify your message so that you can attract higher quality leads into your business. And that is what I do. And then there's all of these little sub outcomes and strategies around how we're going to do that. So it's very important for you to make a decision around, well, what is your angle going to be? What is your angle of mastery going to be? What is your perspective? What are the things that you want to share? And what is the thread that connects all of the things that you do? I feel like if you have, like, you're a multi-passionate person and there's a lot of expertise behind what you do and there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of things that you've learned over the years, you don't need to force yourself to take a big part of you out because it's going to quote unquote sell more. I think that the issue is that actually that is the issue, basically. The issue is that so many coaches are trying to put you into a box and say, no, 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 no. You can only talk about weight loss. If you're talking about weight loss and you're talking about productivity in your business, those two things don't make sense. So let's leave everything that has to do with productivity out of this and like move here. But you're like, wait a minute, I have 25 years of experience in productivity. I'm great at like high performance and focus and all these different things. And I have to leave a part of myself out so that I can focus only on weight loss because this is what will quote unquote sell. That's not true. The thing is that when you leave a part of you that is really important to you and that feels like a big part of your message, when you leave that out, you will not sell. Like, it is not sustainable to build a business where you're leaving a part of who you are and what you're here to share out of the message. And that is actually the reason why you see people sabotaging themselves. I literally had a brand message assessment right now. By the way, you can book it at brandmessagesession.com. And I was talking to somebody that was saying, Fabi, my message feels so generic. I feel like I don't want to share it with people because it feels like there's nothing different that I'm saying, right? So that's when you see those visibility blocks showing up, right? People being like, well, I know what I need to do. I know that I need to show up on Instagram, or I need to do TikTok videos, or I need to be interviewed on podcasts, or I need to do this or that. But I haven't been able to do it because I don't know why. And at the core, it's because you're leaving a part of you out of your message and your brand, and you're holding back from saying the things that you want to say or share just to be able to sell more. But it's not going to sell more because there's a disconnect in the message and the things that you really want to say and what you really want to sell and how you really want to show up. So while you think that by you putting yourself in a box is going to make you more money, it might in the short run, but I can promise you and almost guarantee that in the long term, it won't work because you're leaving a part of you out. And it's inevitable that you're going to drive yourself to burnout. So instead, what you need to do is figure out a way to bring both of the messages together, both of the pieces, right? So if you're doing wellness and weight loss, but you also want to talk about productivity, well, once again, what is the big picture problem that you're solving? How do these things tie together? Can it be that somebody who is physically off track or with their health or whatever is not going to have the mental focus to be able to get the things that they want done? And then that's why productivity is also important. Is there a way for you to bring that whole message together that speaks to the core problem that your audience has? One thing that you have to understand, though, is that one core problem has a lot of little symptoms, right? So there's a lot of different things that we could talk about. An example is right here with this episode. I understand and I know that not every single person in my audience has multiple outcomes or has the issue of trying to figure out and how to communicate what their outcomes are or how to express, like how to bring these things together. I know that not everybody does. This is one symptom to the core problem of I'm not attracting enough high quality leads. So I'm addressing that one symptom in this piece of content. And I could do a whole other training on how to make sure that your one outcome doesn't bore you and that you can kind of come up with more ideas when you only have one big outcome. And I could do a whole other training on how to speak to your audience's problem more effectively. And there's a million different symptoms that I could talk about that come underneath that main big picture problem, but you don't have to put yourself in a box and feel like I can only talk about websites and I can only talk about the homepage of the website because this is the thing that I do. No, you are a person that has a lot of things that you've learned over the years. You have a lot of expertise, you have a lot of experience, and you want to bring all of those things into your message. But there has to be, once again, a thread that connects all the dots and that makes it make sense. There has to be something that unites it all And that is what the angle of mastery is all about. I hope that this is helpful for you and it's given you a little bit more clarity around how to communicate. Again, the core foundational thing that you have to understand is what is the core problem that I'm solving? What is the big picture outcome? And how do I justify these other outcomes or these other pieces of me into that big message so that it all makes sense? Make sure that you go to brandmessagesession.com to book your 15-minute assessment with me, where I'm going to look at your message and I'm going to look at what you're doing in marketing, what you're doing in content, and seeing, well, how can you bring these pieces together? If you're struggling right now with like, I don't know how to bring, I don't know, like relationships with health together. What do I do? What's the big core message? So I'm going to help you figure that out on that 15-minute call. Go to brandmessagesession.com to book it and make sure that you subscribe on YouTube, follow me on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or anywhere else. Share this with anybody and leave me your comments below if you have any questions so that I can answer them in a future episode. I will see you soon.